welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. Thanks for tuning in on this episode. I've got another version of how to lose. Been on a bit of a kick on how to lose certain maps because I keep seeing things like this happen. Both where I am the losing team and where I'm the winning team, and I see the other team do something very silly. There are several maps. This happens to be one of them, / modes, and this is Ensk Encounter. There are several maps and modes where there is a very high percentage play and there is a very low percentage play. And I don't try to do sure things in World of Tanks because there's RNG and there's random teams thrown together and all kinds of things can happen. And you can always go with the low percentage play, but you need to have a good reason to do it. Let's talk about Ensk though specifically, and let's talk about the encounter mode where they spawn in the northeast and you spawn down here in the southeast. And everybody's basically pointing at each other across this field. So the fastest way to get to the enemy and start reducing their hit points is to get somewhere up into these buildings here on the east side of the tracks, or get some scouts up here and get some shots and start infiltrating through these buildings and kill the guys that are up here. Because the game is all about hit point reduction, the faster you can start to reduce their hit points, the better. Which makes the basic strats for pub matches: how do I get the most forces to the most important place on the map the fastest and start reducing their hit points? It's very tempting on this map to think, you know what, because it's a small map, I'm going to take a fast medium or even a fairly zippy heavy, and I'm going to go into the cap area, into the city, because that's where the big brawl is on the standard map, right, over here in the city. I'm going to go into the city, I'm going to kill whatever guys the enemy sends, and I'm going to flank them. Yeah, I'm flanking them. Going to come around behind them. Problem with that is, usually the fight's over by the time you get there. You've already lost. Why? Because the other team has probably sent most of their forces into the field on the east side, killed your field guys faster than you can get into the city and kill their city guys, and now they've got the advantage and they're flanking you. The other thing about going into the field is, once you win it, you can come in from either direction that you want. And then if they're trying to cap, you can jump on them. And the problem with people who go to the city or near caps and try to do things like that is they're also the kind of people that want to try to cap to win. So they throw a guy or two on the cap, and now that guy's just basically meat for everybody to come in there and kill. So let's get going. That's enough babbling about that. But this is basically how to lose Ensk. And you're going to watch the enemy team execute perfectly their plan to lose Ensk. Right off the bat, I know a 110's going out. So Silver and I are platooned. We're top tier in a 3-5-7. This is a pretty permissive setup for us. We've got two heavies in a brawling kind of map. And based on what they have, and tank-wise, we're just in really good shape. So we're going to see you guys cross here. I'll put a shot onto him. I got an SP-1C up there. The even 90, and I'm just talking to Silver. I'm like, let's go. So he's poked through there. I'm seeing what they got. They sent a 110. There's a Scorpion over there. Haven't seen their two big bads. Those are the two guys, but I know that he and I, Silver and I, can clean up their scouts right here. So let's just take these guys out. Telling Silver to take on this even 90, who's actually going to be a bit of a pain. He kind of gets by him right there, squirts through, but we drag along an IS with us, and down that guy goes. And it is at this point that I notice the 705 is in the town, along with the IS-6, 54E1, so that is the majority of their combat power. They just have a bunch of 7s and scouts and whatnot up here, and this is just a no-respect rush in on these guys. And clearly they're not expecting it. The IS isn't even really looking at me. They figure they can probably stall and hang back, but no need to. And you can see that we still have 3 guys going into the city. They're going to keep them busy enough in there. I ignore the 34-100. He's dead. All the guys behind me will take care of that. We have enough guys in the city to keep them honest. And look what's happened, all right? How to lose Ensk. They have lost half their tanks. Granted, the bottom half, but we still have all our zippy tanks, and those are very useful even in the town right here. The low, the KV-4, and the T-71 are probably in pretty big trouble. But if they're careful and they're smart, they will take a chunk out of these guys as they try to push into them. It's much easier to push in this kind of open field than it is to push through in the city when you don't know if you're going to get hit in the side by however many heavies are there. Some of it has to do with whether the enemy team is able to count noses out in the field. Unknown if the platoon on the other side, platoon number 1, was talking about it, saying, oh crap, their platoon number 1 is out in the field rolling up our guys. But they're just in big old trouble right now. So they get through the low. 271 bugged out, so they only got one of our guys. I'll shoot on him as I go. And it is just a swarm at this point. We're coming in at them from all different directions. And when the enemy team is outnumbered, little tanks in a city are actually very useful, because they're not able to focus fire on little tanks. Little tanks get in and out, shooting guys in the back, popping out while the big tanks on the enemy team are pointing at our big tanks. Our little tanks jump out and pop them, and it's just a real bad day all around for the enemy team. I didn't really want to run straight through here. It is a 50-41, and there's a couple more tanks there, so potentially get shotgunned down if I'm not careful. I'm just coming here and ram this guy. I'm going to go ahead and kill the 110, and I'll deal with this M445. I'm actually telling Silver at this point, hey, you want this M445? I'm just going by him here. Do what you want. IS-2, though, got him on the way by, so neither one of us got the hit points, and now we got the 705 here. Another shot into him, and down he goes. So just a complete swarm and stomp, and just a excellently executed plan for losing Ensk from the guys who spawned in the northeast. If you are going to try to go down and flank around there, you have to do it very quickly. That doesn't mean that low percentage plays like that don't win, but this was just simply not a setup for that platoon to say, hey, I think we can do this city thing. It just wasn't going to work in this case. Can't go through all the iterations of what different maps where the smaller percentage play may work. You know, you can even make a valley rush on Lakeville work, right? If you're good enough and you've got the right setup. Does that make it the high percentage play? No, it doesn't make it the high percentage play. It can make it a winning play, but it doesn't make it the high percentage play. In football, there's a lot of trick plays, but you don't run a trick play every time. You know, you got to find the right situation. You know it's going to be fairly low percentage, but the payoff is high. Same thing applies in World of Tanks. If you go with the odds, more than likely, you're going to be doing the right thing. And on this map, encounter on Ensk, win the field, and then deal with whatever clowns they send into the city. All right, guys, hope you like what you saw. Hope you learned something. Keep on sending in the good plays, the bad plays, the things you would like analyzed, the things that you think just something funny happened, and I'll keep featuring them on the channel. As always, we will see you.